Let's get the latest with trial attorney Richard Roth. Richard, a pleasure to have you on today. Chaos outside of the court today as Diddy was found guilty of 2 out of the 5 charges. Were you surprised by the verdict that came through?
So thank you for having me. I was a bit surprised. The federal prosecutors, particularly the Southern District of New York, generally don't take a case or try a case unless they believe they're going to win it. And to them, it really wasn't a win. The major charges, which would have caused Diddy tremendous jail time, he was acquitted on. So it is a bit of a surprise that, again, we're not in the courtroom, but it is a bit of a surprise that he was not convicted of the more serious offenses.
So you were surprised that he wasn't convicted on those, because when we have a look at it, it was racketeering, conspiracy, not guilty, and also sex trafficking of women known as Jane, not guilty. And I was just wondering right now, if we have a look at the jury selection, it was 8 men and 4 women. Do you think that gender plays a role in the verdict?
I don't think gender played a role that much. I think the mistake that was made was that a lot of the crimes he committed, and we know he committed crimes, we've seen the videos, are really state crimes. And the federal, because the statute of limitation has run on those, the federal government essentially tried to take those facts and contort them into federal crimes. So, yeah, it is. I don't necessarily think that it's a male-woman issue with the jury. I think that it was a very hard case for the federal government to put on. And the result is somewhat shocking because they generally don't lose, but the jury just didn't buy the majority of the serious indictment.
We heard from 34 witnesses during the 2-week trial, including Cassie Ventura, a former girlfriend, and we also saw that absolutely horrific video of her being attacked. Would the jury have taken this video into consideration or ignored it because it wasn't related to the charges against him?
Well, that's right. I think you hit the nail on the head. They took it into effect when it came time to the minor crimes. But when it comes to RICO's a very complicated federal statute, fraud-based, which essentially says that a group of individuals, an enterprise, conspired to do things. And as horrific as that video was, and as strong as the testimony was, it didn't really fit in the RICO conspiracy box because it was just him acting. So I think that it was very compelling, and it is horrific what he did, but it just did not amount to some of the crimes he was charged with, and he's a very fortunate man.
Indeed. Diddy has been acquitted, as we said, on 2 of the most serious charges, but he could still, Richard, face up to 10 years in prison. Do you think that he could be a free man today? And also, how does this affect his reputation, his career? You know, there's still the court of public opinion out there.
Yeah, so it's interesting. He will not be a free man today. There will be sentencing. He may be a free man at sentencing because he's been in jail for several months, and that may be part of the essentially what he's sentenced with. He may be out in a year or 2, but the unusual fact is that as a convicted felon, it may actually garnish more attention. He's a bad boy and bad boy record. So it may have the reverse effect of what a lot of the public would think. I would think, quite frankly, he's a convicted felon. The way he treated Ms. Ventura and the way he treated other people is horrific. But he may very well be coming out with an album in a few years. So let's see where it goes. But as we said, he's a very fortunate man today because he won't be spending the rest of his life in jail.
That's an interesting point that you just said there. You know, it could actually boost his fame. But this isn't the end of Diddy's legal journey, really, is it? He still has some civil cases to face. So what happens now with Diddy?
So yes, you're right. The civil cases he has to face are very different because, number one, the standard is lower for a civil case than it is for the criminal. But more importantly, those can be resolved with money. It's not about his liberty. It's not about him doing jail time. It's about paying money to people who are suing him. So it's nowhere near as serious as what we have now. And what Diddy could very well be doing is he could very well be figuring out what his next move is, what he does on the PR front, what he does in the entertainment front, resolve the litigations as best you can. He certainly has a lot of money, so he hopefully will be able to resolve those. And he may very well turn the corner and continue his entertainment mogul status that he had before this indictment. So we don't know yet, but it could he like we said, he could turn the corner, and it could be, and he's very lucky and very fortunate that they went after him for charges that they couldn't nail him with.
Just one quick question before I do let you go, Richard. Large crowds continue to grow outside of court. I must admit, I've watched a lot of trials of celebrities over the years, and nothing seems to have attracted a crowd like this. Why do you think this is the case with the Diddy trial?
So it's very interesting you said. I happen to have been walking by. I was outside the courthouse yesterday when they were waiting for a jury. I happen to have been in the same courthouse, but for a different matter. And Diddy is, listen, number one is he's a spectacle. He's an entertainer. He's a celebrity. Number two, he's very controversial. There are people that love him and love his music and love how he advanced the black cause, the entertainment cause. But then there's a lot of people, especially after that video came out, that just don't want to have anything to do with him. So I literally saw people arguing over Diddy when I was there yesterday, and it's attracting a big crowd because it's very controversial. I think, quite frankly, that someone who did something like that certainly deserves a lot of jail time, and there are a lot of people in my corner, but a lot of other people think the opposite. They think that what he did was inappropriate, but that he still is famous and he should be let go for his, if you will, sins.
So, Richard, yesterday, what was the atmosphere like outside the court? You said you were there and people were arguing. Has it just become a really big, heated debate over in the States?
It is. People who are big fans of his sort of try to excuse his behavior, which I don't understand. But then there's a lot of people there that are saying, we don't care what he goes to jail for. The man should be in jail. You don't treat a woman the way you treated Ms. Ventura or the other women. I mean, there's a lot of things. He put a car on fire. He really did he engaged in a lot of criminal behavior. The problem is that because the statute's gone on the state law, the federal government tried to nail him on that, and that it just didn't stick. It didn't stick as much as they wanted it to.
Richard Roth, thank you so much for joining us. A fascinating window there into the P. Diddy story that I'm sure will continue. Trial attorney Richard Roth, once again, your thoughts have been much appreciated on the show.